How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to Critically Incorrect, Episode 8. I am joined today by Charlie and Justin, if you both wanted to say hi real quick.
Hello.
Hey, what's up?
And yeah, it's going to be a pretty cool podcast today. A really good topic that we actually brought from one of our previous podcasts that we had a blast doing, so we brought that back. Real quick, I do want to ask you guys for questions. If you had any questions or any topics you want us to address in a future episode, make sure to let us know in the comment section down below or in our Discord. Besides that, as always, I want to ask you what you have been playing for the past week or so. So I guess we'll start off with Justin.
All right, sure. Yeah, so it's been like not that long since our last recording, so I feel like this past week has been pretty chill for me. I haven't played too many, I haven't played anything new, I guess I should say. Just playing the same games right now. Played a bit more of Sackboy. Currently, I think, yeah, I'm almost done, or I only played a bit of that game, so I'm almost done the third world, and I think there's 5, so I'm like about a bit more than halfway done. Halfway to like, yeah. What is it, like, so 3/5? Yeah, almost about halfway done. It's going pretty good. Having fun with it. Still good co-op fun. And yeah, other than that, just some Call of Duty prop hunt, bit of multiplayer domination, stuff like that. And yeah.
Right on, right on. Charlie.
Well, for me, I've been trying to get through a ton of my backlog, mainly because I start back at uni for my final semester next week. So I went back and did all the DLC for Little Nightmares, which is a game I've had for, I think, since it came out, and I hadn't really touched. So I played through that. I finally went back and finished Ghost Runner, so I finished that. And then also beat Bioshock Infinite for the first time, because I've had that game on my backlog for, I want to say, like 5 years, and I have been told by so many people to play it, and I've nearly had it spoiled many times. Somehow went into it not knowing anything. So I went and beat that. I need to play the DLC. I haven't done that yet, but it's really, really good. I'm kind of annoyed that it's taken me this many years to play it. And then just a few multiplayer
Does it still
things.
hold up well?
Yeah. It does.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, they all hold
Alright,
up pretty
'cause-
well. Like, I played Bioshock 1 last year, which I really enjoyed. I haven't played Bioshock 2 yet, but I need to, because like I wanted to take a break from the Rapture stuff, but I've heard that one's really good as well.
Alright.
But I need to dive into that, and then just some multiplayer stuff. So like Among Us with some friends, and a bit of Battlefront 2, which funnily enough we'll talk about in a bit. But I've been playing that as well on PC. So yeah.
That's great to hear. I loved Bioshock Infinite. That's actually the only Bioshock game I have completed. I've gone to like maybe a bit past the middle of Bioshock 1 a few years ago, but never ended up finishing it. I do want to go back and finish those games up. Yeah, I really love Infinite. I think Infinite was like one of the first games I played when I fully got into like gaming as just like in general, because I started off with Uncharted, right? And then in 2013 I decided to push past that kind of world and like try other genres and other games, and I think Bioshock Infinite was like one of the first times or first games I tried, and I remember loving that. So that's cool to see that you played that. Still waiting for Bioshock 4, which apparently is happening. Past week for me has been pretty quiet. I do want to start up some new games here. I was actually talking to both of you. I've been playing, more Cyberpunk. Kind of gone to the part where I think I want to go for the main story and just kind of finish that out. And then I think I've done mainly all the side missions with like all the characters. I think I've done every single one, so I feel comfortable with that. Besides that, I think I played like 30 minutes of Spellbreak, which is a game on Steam. I also bought some more Steam games in general because the sale ended this past Tuesday. So I think I bought like Divinity Original Sin 2, which is an RPG. I'm definitely not starting that anytime soon. I bought Disco Elysium because I definitely want to try that out soon. And then I bought both Mirror's Edge games just because I kind of want to replay those. So we'll see which ones I end up booting up here in the next week or so. Or whenever I finish Cyberpunk, that is. But I think more than ever right now, I just want to start some new games here because I've been playing Cyberpunk for quite a bit of time. So hopefully next week I'll have some more interesting things to say. Besides that, we are going to go into our gaming news this week. Pretty big topics. There's not like a whole lot of topics, but the ones that are here are pretty significant. At least I believe so. We'll start off with the smaller ones. So Doom costumes are coming to Fall Guys. Yeah, this is definitely our smallest news story, but they're collaborating with Bethesda. So I believe they're going to have a few costumes that are going to be coming into the store next week in Fall Guys. I believe this was supposed to happen a while ago, because I remember hearing about this quite a long time ago, but apparently it's now official. So yeah, make sure to look out for that if you're playing Fall Guys. As Charlie was kind of hinting at earlier, Star Wars Battlefront 2 is going to be free next week on Epic Games Store. So definitely, I know it was free on PS Plus, so most of you probably do have this by now. But if for some reason you didn't get it, or you just don't care to play it on console, it is going to be coming out on PC through the Epic Games Store next week. That's going to be from the 14th to the 21st. I guess our biggest, our sort of our biggest news item comes from Respawn. They had a recently removed job listing that actually mentioned the need for a software engineer there at their team, and they mentioned the role was going to be for a kind of like a new IP that was starting in the development phase. They specifically said new IP, so to me, I kind of find this surprising, considering I thought for sure they're going to be working on Jedi Fallen Order 2 or whatever that game's going to be called. As well as they're obviously still working on Apex, so I'm sure they're pretty busy on that. And they also just recently finished, their VR game that was Medal of Honor, so I'm guessing that maybe this is just the Medal of Honor team starting to work on something else here. Nonetheless, it's kind of impressive that they're working on yet another game. So what do you guys think about that, Respawn starting to work on a new IP here?
I mean, it's pretty interesting. I think they kind of can do it now because they just opened a new studio, right? So, because they opened like a second studio last year just for Apex specifically. So that meant their main team could focus on Star Wars and then whatever other projects. So I guess it kind of makes sense that they would have, I would assume, 2 projects going on at the main studio. So you'll have a inevitable Jedi Fallen Order sequel, and then whatever this new IP is kind of sad because it probably means that a new Titanfall themed game is not happening anymore, which they originally said was a few years back, which is a shame, but I know Apex does really well for them, so I guess that's kind of their only Titanfall thing right now. But it'd be interesting to see whatever this turns out to be. So
Yeah, for sure. What about you, Justin? Do you have any thoughts or opinions on this?
Yeah, well, just building off of what Charlie said, yeah, like, like, I think Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order was a great game, so, like, it's inevitable that that game will get a sequel. But yeah, this is just, I don't know, it's cool news, that they're working on something else, I guess. Yeah, I don't know, like, we'll have to wait and see, like, what that turns out to be. But, I've enjoyed what they've worked on in the past, and excited to see what they make in the future, so, yeah.
This had me thinking that if they ever did another Titanfall single player game, if they would make it kind of more more in the line of Apex, because Apex and Titanfall take place in the same universe, right? So I was wondering if maybe their next single player game would be kind of like a single player Apex, or at least that's how they would market it. So maybe take out the mechs, but still have like the traditional wall running and the classic loop that everyone loves to Titanfall. I thought that might be interesting. I don't know if Titanfall was really loved for the mech combat. I don't know. For me, I really liked when you were the pilot more than ever, but yeah, I don't know. That'll be interesting. Nonetheless, that'll be pretty exciting because new IPs are always exciting. In other news, PogChamp has actually been removed from Twitch. I saw this and I was like, wait, is this like a troll? But it was actually from the official Twitch account. Essentially, the face behind PogChamp, that person was advocating for more violence. I guess we're kind of going into political news of, what happened yesterday, at least when we're recording this from the United States, of the, pretty much pro-Trump supporters raiding the Capitol building in Washington. Essentially, the face behind PogChamp was advocating for more violence. So in a quick response, Twitch decided to take down the emote. There's a lot of sides to this. I think this is probably the right decision, but I guess there's a lot of people that also believe that the emote should stay because it doesn't mean anything. Like, it's essentially the community kind of owns the emote now, right? You don't really use PogChamp because of the guy, but nonetheless, it is still his face. They're looking at possibly replacing it with something else. People have mentioned that the actor or the person behind this emote doesn't actually like the emote. Some people have suggested that keep using it to irritate him. Nonetheless, a really big story, because I think isn't PogChamp pretty much like maybe second to Kappa, probably the biggest Twitch emote that there
Yeah,
is.
yeah, it's
Yeah,
like
for
an iconic
sure.
Twitch emote.
Exactly. It's like essentially the
yeah.
top two, I'd say, probably.
It's like every community has their own like version of the PogChamp, you know?
Essentially,
Like,
right?
yeah.
That's kind of crazy, though. So, yeah, big news there. Anything else you guys wanted to add on to that?
Not really. I mean, you
Not really.
kinda touched on
you went
everything.
spot on 'em.
For sure.
Yeah.
Our last story comes by the way of a Bloomberg report. I'm actually not going to quote them specifically, but Eurogamer kind of took a part of that article by Dina Bass. And essentially, in that part of the blog post they mentioned, it was essentially a whole piece on Xbox's history, right? In game development and just kind of becoming the giant that they are today. They had like a brief part about, 2000s when Xbox was kind of like one of the market leaders in gaming, or at least, rising up. And they kind of had, I guess the intention to buy Nintendo at the time, around the 2000 era. If you don't know, PlayStation was kind of big in terms of technology. Like the PlayStation console had a lot of specs to it that a lot of other developers or people in the gaming industry didn't really have, so they were definitely marketing the power of the console. Microsoft saw an opportunity of possibly wanting to acquire them, because obviously the Xbox and PlayStation at the time were competing for power. Nintendo has always kind of gone for the entertainment side of things, not how much power you could push out of these boxes, but the entertainment experiences. Essentially, Microsoft sent some executives over to Nintendo, and it's kind of a funny piece in my opinion, because they were literally talking about acquiring them at first, and essentially they kind of described it as like the Nintendo executives were just kind of laughing at their faces for the whole entire year, or for the whole entire hour of that meeting, which I find hilarious. And then they even go on later to say that after that conversation that didn't go well, they even tried to possibly work on a console together. Like I think they proposed that Xbox was going to develop the hardware while Nintendo would focus on the software. So really funny. Yeah, did you guys have any thoughts on that? That was kind of a thing I didn't know about that I found kind of funny.
I mean, it's really interesting because, like, at that time, I would assume this is why the Xbox as we know it exists, because around 2000 would have been when they were developing the original Xbox. Like, it wasn't out at that point. So they were obviously asking around and saying, hey, we need studios for this console, otherwise we're not going to have any games. And Nintendo make really good games, so why not ask them? But what I think obviously Microsoft didn't realize at the time is, hey, Nintendo are pretty big when it comes to gaming, Microsoft not so much. So I could kind of see why it turned out the way it did. I think the more interesting thing is that they kind of were having conversations of potentially making the hardware around the GameCube era, because that would have been really interesting to see, especially because there's obviously the Nintendo PlayStation that exists. Like, Nintendo were known to have potentially partnered with other companies. Like, it was very close to happening with Sony originally, so the fact that that was in talks at one point is kind of cool. And it is, they're working together now, so I suppose it's kind of all precursor to what's going on right now, I guess. But yeah.
Yeah, I do want to correct myself. I think I said Xbox being the market leader. I meant in terms of Microsoft. I think I said Xbox before. Yeah. But they're developing the Xbox. Yeah, you're correct in that. Yeah, you're right. There's a really good PlayStation documentary that kind of discusses how the PlayStation came to be. And yeah, it was because they essentially wanted to team up with Nintendo and make us... what was it? Nintendo. It was a collaboration between it was either like... I think it was the Nintendo PlayStation or just a collaboration between Nintendo and PlayStation for the first console. Nintendo didn't end up, wanting to agree with that with Sony, so Sony just did their own thing. So yeah, that is kind of funny that both Xbox and PlayStation kind of started off with trying to, do good by Nintendo, and then Nintendo just kind of denied both of them, and they just did their own thing anyway. So that's kind of funny. But there is a really good documentary to watch. I'm trying to forget the name. I think it's from Bedroom to Billions or something like that. Just type in PlayStation documentary. It's one of the first ones that will come up. It's a really good watch. I definitely recommend it. Justin, do you have any thoughts on this?
I mean, you guys said pretty much everything. I just think it's a pretty interesting news story, considering this is like 20 years ago, and this is basically like came out now. But yeah, that considering back then, like as Charlie said, like back in the early 2000s or whatever, when Microsoft really wasn't like big in gaming or whatever. That's like quite interesting how they basically tried to acquire Nintendo, which is like a giant at that point.
Hmm.
And yeah, obviously, like if something like that had happened, like or like gaming would be very different today. I guess.
I guess it also
But
kind
yeah,
of
you know what?
yeah.
I'm
Oh
happy
yeah.
like the way things are right now.
Hmm.
Like yeah.
It kind of reminds me of like what Google Stadia is trying to do now, and it's kind of like reinforces the idea that you kind of need to have experience in gaming to join the industry. You can't just kind of throw a bunch of money to, essentially join the ranks. Like you see that with Stadia right now, and like Xbox, I guess, were trying to do that back then by just acquiring Nintendo. But it's like really, it's really an industry that you kind of need like more like credibility more than anything and experience working in, than rather just throwing a bunch of money to join the industry,
I
which is
mean,
kind
it's
of
the
interesting.
same with Amazon
Hmm.
as well right now, right? Like
Yeah,
they
now
also
with
tried the same
Luna.
thing, and Luna and Crucible being an absolute flop because they were trying to get it out during the pandemic. Um, so yeah, fun times. But yeah, you really do need that credibility to get anywhere in the industry, I think.
Yeah, exactly. So definitely a really cool news story that I'm glad broke this week. And yeah. Anyways, we're going to go into our question of the week from Sir Cazz. He asked on YouTube, how much do you care about earning trophies/achievements? Are you trophy whores? I actually really am glad he asked this because, I initially want to say that I'm not, but then I think about the past, and there definitely was a period, definitely during, I want to say, towards the end of the PS3 life cycle and the start of the PS4, where I really cared about trophy hunting and making sure I completed like my games and all that. So yeah, to answer your question, I'd say probably between the years of like maybe early 2014 to like around 2015, I definitely was into trophy hunting a lot. Definitely a bit as well towards the end of the PS3 in 2013 as well. I was never like super hard into it. Like I definitely just took existing games that I enjoyed playing and then looked up guides or just kind of like completed them, right, and then maybe looked for other ones. Essentially now though, I kind of have a philosophy where I just kind of play what I want to play at the time, just because now being in college and all that, I don't really have time to go for platinums now that I used to. So I'd rather use that time going for a platinum to instead start a game from my backlog and then play through that, just because I feel like I get more out of my time that way. But yeah, that's definitely a good question because I definitely used to. But yeah, what about you two?
I would say like for me, I have like weird phases, kind of like you. I feel like definitely when I started like with the PS3, yeah, I definitely had that kind of trophy hunting phase where like if I start a new game, I'd want to get as many of the trophies as possible, probably go for the platinum. And then I guess like I guess for the majority of the PS4 era, not really. Just I guess kind of like towards the end, I kind of like sparked back up a bit. But I would say the first few years of the PS4, not really too much. I would say nowadays though, which is really weird. I feel like I definitely am right now, just because like, I don't know. I'm so like I use the site PSN profile so often, like, and I'm just always constantly like looking up statistics and stuff. Um, and I don't know, I just hate seeing that like rank E like 3% trophies on my it's I don't know, I just hate seeing that. So like nowadays, if I'm playing a game, like obviously if I'm not enjoying the game, I'm not gonna force myself to play it, right? But like for the most part, if I am enjoying it, I'm like, all right, like I might as well grind for the extra trophies, get the 100%. Like I did that with Ghost of Tsushima, obviously. I don't know. Yeah, I feel like nowadays I'm really enjoying it. Like even now, like I'm currently playing NHL, which I don't even like last year and all the other years before I would just play casually. I mean, it is a casual game, but yeah, um, like I don't know. I've been grinding that game for like 200 hours the past few weeks just to like get the rest of the trophies because I only have like 3 left. But there's this one trophy that is like, it takes such a long time. Like I don't know. I've just been grinding it the whole like winter vacation.
Damn.
It's crazy, but yeah.
What about you, Charlie?
Um, I mean, I have never like massively been into trophies. I think there was a phase when I just finished high school from like 2016 to 2018 where I did get a lot of platinums, and that was mainly because my game design teacher was really into going for platinums, and so was one of my mates. So whenever we had class, we would just talk about trophies. Um, so around that time, I was really into grinding out trophies, but once I started uni, I didn't really have as much time. So typically now, I only really go for platinums and stuff when it's a game I really liked, or it's just super easy, like I'm playing it, I'm like, oh, I could definitely see myself doing it, kind of thing. So like I think last year I probably only got like 3 or 4 platinums. So like Spider-Man, Ghost of Tsushima, and then Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order I got. But I can't think of any others. Like, they're just games that I'm playing anyway, and so it's like, oh, I just need to do a little bit more and I'll get the platinum. Whereas I for a phase I did play a few games just to get the platinum. So yeah.
Yeah, I did
My name is
enjoy it.
Mayo.
My name is Mayo. Oh shit!
Yeah,
Yeah,
to be
didn't
fair,
you
I've
get
got
that?
both.
You did get
I've
that.
got both of those. Yeah.
Just spam X.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely see a trend. Like, it's always like games that I really care about, like the Uncharted series. I platinumed them all. I almost got the Last of Us one. I think the only one stopping me was.
Oh, I'm proud of that platinum. My last.
Yeah, because you got to do
platinum.
like really good on the
You have to-
multiplayer. You play a lot of the
Well,
multiplayer.
that's
rather.
like DLC. So I mean, you can still get the platinum
Yeah.
without it, but you have to grind like in total
Yeah.
24
You see the,
weeks.
yeah.
Yeah,
So it's
I
like-
think I
it's like
actually did
100
that.
I think like 100 matches. Around.
You know what's funny? I actually think I
Yeah.
did all the multiplayer trophies. The only thing stopping me is literally the single player ones with like the Firefly pendants and
Oh,
all that.
yeah.
But whenever I
That's
replay The
true.
Last of Us, I just want to like enjoy the story again. Like I don't
Right.
play it for like certain
Yeah.
gameplay beats.
Yeah,
It's
I
always
don't. I
just
hate doing. I hate pulling up a guide while I'm trying to just like enjoy the whole.
because then it
the
feels
whole
so
game.
wrong. Like
You're
it
always
feels
like
like you're making
looking
it a
back and
chore.
forth. You
Yeah,
always have
like
that like
between two
in your
monitors.
like at the back of your head, be like, I gotta look out for this area. Once I get here, I'm looking.
Because you can never really like lose yourself and enjoy it. Because you always got to know like you got to be careful
Yeah.
so you don't skip
Yeah.
past like a part with
Yeah.
collectibles, right? So it's always just kind of annoying.
Optional
Like I
conversations.
still haven't even
Those are
gotten the
worst.
Lost Legacy one. Like I wanted to, and that one's so easy, but I just haven't replayed the game. I don't
Yeah.
know. I need to go for that one as well. Yeah, really good question. Thanks, Sir Cazz, for asking that. It's nice to revisit that phase. And yeah, anyways, we're going to go into our topic of the show. I kind of hinted at this in the very beginning. Previously in our past podcast, Gaming at its Core, we had really fun episodes where we kind of predicted the release dates of Sony, exclusives going forward. So I think we did like a really good episode in 2017 at the time when we didn't really know like any release date that was coming out past then. And like just watching those episodes back and just seeing how wrong we were was kind of funny. So I wanted to do that yet again since we have a good slate here in 2021 still to come. So yeah, I figured we'd do that. The games we're going to be predicting are going to be Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart, Kenna, Horizon 2 Forbidden West, God of War Ragnarok, Resident Evil Village, Hogwarts, Gotham Knights, and Ghostwire Tokyo. So we did actually pick like concrete release dates, so this isn't even just predicting like fall or, September. This is like specific actual dates that we think they might come out on, just because, why not? So
Yeah.
I guess what we'll do is we'll go and per game we'll go through all the release dates. So Justin, what'd you pick for Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart?
All right, let me pull up my document here. Ratchet and Clank. I decided to go with April 9th, 2021. Yeah, I don't know. I think I just think like we already know a lot of the release dates coming out in March. I think Ratchet and Clank, they are trying to we know they're trying to target the first half. And April 9th, I mean, that does sound pretty close, but I feel like if they want to get in that launch window, I feel like April 9th is a good time. I think April's a good month for them just because like when did the 2016, was it April or was it March? The 2016
I want to say
I'll have to
March.
look
I
it
didn't
up,
play it
honestly.
at launch, so I'm not sure.
or did it get delayed? I don't remember.
Because it came out when the film came out, right? So
It
Yeah.
came out April
I-
12th. So yeah, you would be
Okay,
close.
yeah, okay. So I don't know. I feel like April 9th would be pretty cool. March already has Returnal coming out for PlayStation, so I think April 9th now. I don't know if that seems a bit close, to be honest.
Yeah.
March.
I would
don't
give
know,
my
whatever.
thoughts, but I want to wait till I go around and
Whatever.
say my piece.
Yeah.
So I guess I'll
Whatever.
ask
I'll
Charlie
just say, I'll
first,
stick
and then
with
I'll
that.
give my
April
thoughts.
9th. That's fine. April 9th.
That's definitely not bad. I mean, it's gonna be within the first 6 months of the PS5 allegedly, right? So
Yeah.
it'll be definitely close, if anything. What about you, Charlie? What'd you pick?
So I went a month later. I went with the 14th of May. Um, I don't even really know why. It was just the thing of I don't think it's gonna be super soon. I don't actually know because they said launch window, right? I should have probably looked up when the launch window is because it may end the end of April. So, but yeah, I just thought middle of May, it will be coming up to summertime, just gone Easter, like I don't know. To be honest, I'm kind of hoping it's then because I'll be finished with university, so I'll just be sat at home doing nothing. So if it comes out then, it'll be perfect timing. So
Yeah, it would be a good
yeah.
time. I actually also picked May 14th, and
Oh,
Oh
okay.
wow.
so already we got double there, which is funny. Yeah, like I didn't really do much research on Ratchet and Clank. I just felt May felt right, considering we're already in January, right, and we haven't really heard anything about a date yet.
Mm.
I definitely could see where Justin's coming from, especially since now that I think about it, I guess May 14th would be a little bit past the launch window if they're counting North America. Not like they're really using it as a concrete kind of time frame. I'm sure like May is still going to be essentially the launch window. My reasoning for that was basically, I guess, we obviously know Returnal's now coming out March 19th, so I figured, hey, maybe like a month or two after. I'm now starting to think that, because now I'm remembering that Deathloop's coming out in May, right? So now I'm starting to think that
Oh
maybe
yeah,
it will
that's
come out in
true.
April, since, the 2016 game came out in April, and as well as, they're doing like a
When's
game a
Deathloop?
month.
That's May
Deathloop's
what?
May, it's like end of May, I think, or
Okay.
I want to say it's the 21st.
Yeah, it's towards the end of May.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the 21st, so towards the end of May. They could do May 14th, but I guess now that I'm thinking about it, it would be weird to launch, Ratchet and Clank like a week before your third-party exclusive game. So I
Maybe
definitely
the
think
end of
April
April.
probably makes the
Maybe
most
the end of
sense.
April.
Yeah,
I feel like April 9th, or what did I say? April 9th? Maybe a bit later. Maybe like 2 weeks later. I don't know.
I definitely think like it's probably one of those dates, like April 9th or April 16th. That makes sense. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I definitely think you're on the money there. Now that I'm thinking about it, I personally wanted to come out in May just because, like Charlie said, I feel like I'd be more free around that time.
Oh yeah, for sure. I'd
But
be done school.
exactly.
Yeah.
So who knows? I think that's definitely. I don't know why I'm really excited for this game. I guess just because it is coming out soon, relatively compared to the other games on this list. But one that isn't coming out soon is Kenna. So I guess Justin, yet again, what'd you pick for Kenna?
Can I see? I don't know. I was really not sure what to put for this one, just cause like I know it was supposed to release at the end of 2020, but got delayed. Um, and they still said it's like Q1, but like we haven't heard anything about it since. So I feel like I don't know. Like, are they in trouble or something there? Um, Man, I don't even know. I'm probably gonna be so wrong with this. I put May 7th just cause I thought like I feel like they need a bit more time. I don't know.
Okay, so
What
then me and you would be kind of flip flopping because I put April 23rd.
Yeah. Okay.
That's
'Cause
trying
I'm
to
not
think
sure now.
when-
Brandon, why are you taking all my dates, man?
Wait, are we actually like lining up? That's funny. Yeah, I don't know. I considered because I knew like Kenna. I think is supposed. It got delayed to spring, right? I don't know. It just seems like an April kind of game.
Yeah, that's
I
what
figured it'd be
thought.
ready before
I feel like
Ratchet.
that's a good day too. But like I don't know. Like I just like we haven't heard anything about it like since, so I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, it's not like we're gonna hear anything this week because it's literally the first week of the year. So
Yeah.
I'll give it to the end of the month or the first week of February till we start
Yeah.
hearing more.
All right.
But
That's fair. Yeah.
yeah, I
don't
definitely
know.
think that game will come out by end of April. It does. I don't know. I feel like Ratchet and Clank and Kenna are like, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see where they end up, but they're
Yeah,
both
like
gonna be either
they're
April or
both
May.
around the same time, kind of in like the 1 to 2 month spanning area.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah. I feel like now that I'm thinking about it with a more concrete kind of thought process, I feel like maybe Kenna would be early April and then Ratchet maybe early May or end of April. I don't know. I feel like that's good
Yeah,
spacing.
that sounds
What about you?
good
So
too.
Charlie, you said April 23rd. Do you want to also
Yeah,
give
I
thoughts
mean-
on that?
Yeah, it was mainly just because obviously it was meant to come out at like PS5 launch or around then, and then they delayed it to like Q1 or whatever. So I feel like it must have been close, right? Like it was mainly just they needed to polish the game up. So I don't feel like it's going to be a massive delay. Like I was originally thinking maybe like June, July, but I was like, no, that's too late. So that's why I went with April, and I didn't want to put it the same month as Ratchet. So that's why I didn't put May. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's kind of weird jumping from these two games to now Horizon 2, because it still feels weird that that game's coming out this year, which I do think it will hit. And stuff like that, those were possible delay,
man,
but if they're saying
really
God of War
should.
Ragnarok is coming out this year also, then I think like one of these has to hit, and if one of these hits, it's Horizon 2. I guess I'll start with my date just to spice things up. I put September 10th.
Hey,
That's very close to mine.
That's funny.
That's
Yeah,
what I
my
put.
thought process behind this was that I definitely think this game will come out before the fall. I don't know, just I feel like it makes sense to be around that Spidey window, you know, like
Bro, that's
end of
literally
summer.
that's literally what I was thinking.
Yeah, like end of summer / early fall. It just made the most sense in my opinion. So
Yeah.
yeah, September 10th.
Well, you got my thoughts there too. So
What about you, Charlie? You said it was close, right?
So I said the 7th of September, so the Tuesday rather than the Friday. I guess it's a similar thought process. Like I was like, end of summer. I don't think it's like a Christmassy game, so you don't wait till like November. You want it in that summer period, but I don't feel like June or July, August time is far enough away. So that's why I went with that date specifically. I was also trying to think because obviously Horizon 1 came out the same day as the Switch, right? So it was 10th of March,
Yeah.
which was a Friday. So...
No, it came out. It came out a week before. It came out a week before Breath of the Wild. I think it's end of February.
Yeah, I thought it was,
Oh
February.
yeah, I feel like that might have been one where the date was different in the UK and the US because it was like
It might
3rd
have
of
been. It might
March
be
or
a-
like
yeah.
27th
It might be a
of
region.
February around then. Anyway, I think
Yeah.
it was a Friday, so maybe 10th is probably more likely. But yeah, I put 7th, so we're very similar.
Yeah, like if you think about it, it's like all like everything we've seen so far with like the tropical kind of vibe. Like it'd be really weird to have that come out in like November, October. So I feel like the latest could be September if it's still coming out this year. So yeah, that's kind of weird to think that we haven't seen gameplay of this game. I mean, not like it could be just like a direct sequel, right? It could be just very similar, but it's weird to think that this could be so close, like 6 months away. Weird. Anyways, I put God of War Ragnarok here just in the middle. So this one, I guess I'll start again. I didn't put a 2021 date because I don't think this is coming out this year. I put a 2022 date. I put April 22nd. I don't know. I just put it right next to when it came out in 2018. So my thought process would be just like around the same kind of window. I don't know. I feel like if they're putting 2021, which I know Sony themselves most likely don't even think they'll hit it, but I don't think like it'll be like as big as like maybe a whole year, but I definitely think maybe it could be a whole year delay, but I just put April 22nd just because it's close to when the original came out. Yeah. What about you?
Interesting.
And if you want to
I
chime
put, well, yeah. I mean, I want to believe it will come out this year, but I just think like, or like, even though if they plan for it to release this year, I think like eventually it would get delayed. And which honestly I don't really mind because it's like at the end of the day I don't want them to rush the sequel to God of War, which is like one of my favorite games of the PS4 gen. I decided to go with March 11th, 2022. So yeah, I mean like it's about a month off from you, but like at the end of the day, it's still that like early spring type of time window, you know.
in? Yeah.
Yeah, not too much to say there. Just I think like at the end of the day, they might take like a few extra months just to clean up everything, make sure it's up to polish.
Yeah. I'm interested in seeing what Charlie put.
So I put one for this year, mainly
Okay.
because I'm going with the thought process of if it's cross-platform, I think it will be this year, mainly because there's a lot less work they would have to do than if it is fully next gen. So I went with the 19th of November. So it is near the end of the year, obviously. I think it's going to be after Horizon for sure.
So do you strongly believe it's going to be cross-gen?
No, but if it is cross-gen, I think it's this year. If it's not cross-gen, then yeah, I think it will get delayed. But my kind of thing is I feel like if it is for PS4 as well, they were looking for a 3-year turnaround, which would have been April this year. But obviously because of pandemic and stuff, it then got pushed back, and then we heard about it with the just 2021 date. So that's my kind of thought process. But yeah, that is all kind of dependent on if it is cross-platform. Because like if it is still on PS4, same with obviously we know Horizon's on PS4. I feel like there is a lot. I mean, obviously they'll port it over, but it's not going to be as dedicated for the new systems, so they can use a lot of the work they've already done on the last title. So functionally, it'll probably be very similar. But yeah.
Yeah, I actually have a coworker that his neighbor apparently works at Sony Santa Monica like remotely,
Mm-hmm.
and he was just talking about how like the game's apparently supposed to be huge. I'm really hoping that's the case. Like I hope they go for like a very impressive sequel rather than something safe. But everything we've seen so far makes it seem like it's going to be a safe sequel, if it's coming out this soon. You might be right though, because it definitely does fit that theme of winter Ragnarok and all that.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, I guess the original one had a lot of
It's snow and stuff.
winter
Yeah.
themes, and that came out in April, so it'll be interesting. I feel like if it does come out this year, that'd be the biggest surprise of 2021 in gaming for me. Would be
Yeah.
that, just
Biggest
because like I
surprise,
don't
the
expect
game
that.
that got announced for 2021 actually comes out in 2021.
Yeah, I don't think like anyone really thought it was gonna come out that time. Just because everyone kind of imagined next year as like Horizon being the big one, and 2022 at least. If you look back at PS5 predictions, everyone was always saying a tease for God of War in 2022. No one would have said 2021. That'd be insane if it does come out. Anyways, I guess we'll move on to our next game. So we're going into some third-party games. Actually, I'll move up Gran Turismo just to end off the PlayStation exclusives. I actually didn't pick a release date yet, but Charlie reminded me that, yeah, that is a game that is coming out.
It's Justin that
So-
wrote it, yeah, and then
Oh, you did? Okay, Justin. Got it.
Yeah.
So I guess, Justin, you
Just
start with your
realized
date
I
while
forgot.
I think about this a
Okay. I didn't even write one down. I'll go at the top of my head. Let's see. What did they say? First half, I'm pretty sure, right? They said targeting first half. So I'm gonna say June. June 18 sounds good.
bit. Yeah, I was going to say maybe like June. I feel like it would be like that week of E3. I don't know why. I just have like a strong feeling it'll be around that time. The weird thing is like, I'll talk about this more when I go on my other predictions for other games, but like I don't know, like a lot of these games I feel like are coming out pretty soon or like around the same time window. But for Gran Turismo, I don't know. Like if I didn't know it was coming out in the first half, right, I'd predict maybe like July or August. But if it is targeting the first half, I want to say June. I don't know. Maybe I'll say end of June, just because I feel like I'd be very impressed if it does come out like really early. So I'll give June 26th. June 26th. Yeah, that makes the most sense in my opinion. Or 25th, actually. So
25th,
that's a
yeah.
Friday. So
Yeah.
June 25th.
Alright.
And then Charlie, I don't know if you picked a date, but you could just pick a month
so
or
yeah,
anything.
I went with the 20th of July. Yeah, it's in the middle of summer. Makes sense for a racing game to come out around then. Yeah, and I just thought the date kind of sounded pretty good, so that's why I went with it.
It's definitely June or July if they're targeting first half. I don't see this
Yeah.
coming out like anytime May or before, just because they already have Deathloop and stuff. Like, there's no reason to squish everything together. So, for my opinion, I think we're all around the money, like around June, July. So,
Yeah.
yeah, hopefully that game's good. Resident Evil Village. So this one's probably I think this and God of War are kind of the hardest ones for me, just because Resident Evil has traditionally been January, February. And I also don't think this game is as far as like October, just because we've seen so much of the game so far. And I think both PS5 events we've seen the game so far. I actually went with June 11th on this one. This was before I made my prediction for Gran Turismo, so I think that Gran Turismo, let's say end of June, early July, around the time frame. I went with end of June. I'll say that Resident Evil Village will be beginning of June. I went with June 11th, so I guess, early, mid-June. I think it's that week of E3. Just because I don't think this game's terribly far away to be like an October, spooky Resident Evil game release. But obviously it's not going to come out in traditional time frame, so I feel like that makes sense.
Interesting. Charlie,
Just 'cause we've seen the game twice, I don't
I'll let
know.
Charlie go first.
So I
Okay.
went with the 18th of June. I just think because what was the leaked document, like April time is what they were saying in that document. Obviously that was quite old and it was never meant to go externally, so I feel like that was probably a bold date that they had in mind because they try to go for earlier in the year. I think it would make more sense thematically for it to be at the end of the year, going by its horror and it looks more wintry themed. But I think it will probably come out in the summer. So yeah, 18th of June is what I went with.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I didn't know. Like, I really struggled with this one. I didn't like. Cause I don't know. Could be like anywhere really in the year. I don't know. At the end of the day, I just decided to go with somewhere in July. Like you guys, I thought like, I didn't think it was that far out to be like, you know, all the way in the holidays or whatever, like October, November. Yeah, I think by summer, like I feel like that should be like a good time to release it. So I put a bit later than you guys. I ended up putting down July 16, which is, I don't know, like a month off.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. I could see it being August as well, but I'm just going to stick with June just because that's what my gut feeling says. I feel like they want to get it out in the first half if we've seen so much of it so far as well. Just kind of adds up to that. The next third-party game we're going to go over is Hogwarts. This was the one that was announced in the PS5 September event. Hogwarts, I guess I'll start again. I put for November 12th. I just think like Hogwarts is such a big IP, kind of like Star Wars, where you can kind of go in that time frame and still sell really well. I think if any game would be like November next year, it'd be like the Call of Duties and like possibly this game as well. Just because, as I said, it is that strong IP. It makes sense to be in the fall. So yeah, I put November 12th as like my specific day. So yeah. Justin, Charlie, any of you?
Okay. I put October 29, just because, like, yeah, like you, I think, you know, the Harry Potter name itself, you know, brings a lot of popularity. I think the game looked like pretty, like, not really far out, but I think, like, far enough out that it's not coming out in the summer, you know? I don't know, like the footage we saw, like it's probably like a bit earlier than like they've definitely made a lot of improvements since, but yeah, I just I don't see that game coming out like earlier in the year. It seems like the perfect kind of, you know, like that holiday time to compete with all the other big titles releasing around that time. And yeah, I don't know, I just think like when do the Call of Duties come out? Usually like early November, right? So I just put like slightly before that.
Nice, yeah.
I ended up going with a week before Justin, so the 22nd of October. Again, I think it makes sense for it to be around Christmas time. But I also was like, maybe just before like Halloween. I don't like witches and wizards. I don't know.
That's true. That's actually true. Yeah.
I'm not a massive Harry Potter fan, so like I'm not crazy excited about it or anything. But yeah, I was trying to think. Did they even say it was 2021? Like when they
did say 2021.
Okay,
I think.
okay. Because I couldn't remember. I was like, did they even? Because to be honest, if they hadn't said that, I would have said it's probably next year. Yeah. But yeah, so yeah, 22nd of October.
I was also trying to think like when the movies came out, and obviously it's been a while since any of the movies did come out. I think the last one, because I remember watching that as a kid in theaters. I think it was November. Yeah, no, I was trying to think of just in general
the
Harry Potter. I think the last definitely Hollows Part 2 came out in like middle of November. I think I remember seeing that like after Thanksgiving or something like that. So I definitely think we're on the money with either October or November. Just makes sense.
Yeah.
I also was thinking like, I think Warner Brothers has this and Gotham Knights coming out next year as their two games. So I was thinking Gotham Knights is probably earlier, and I guess that's a good segue into Gotham Knights, which I put July 16th. There was like, I think there's like a rumor that the game like was hinting at a July release date earlier. Like last month, I think was when the rumors were going around.
Okay.
I always thought it was just going to be in July or August, just because I was kind of thinking like this is kind of like Arkham Knight, where it's going to come out in the summer. I put July 16th just because that felt right. Yeah, like no game ever comes out in July. Like it's literally the quietest time for game releases. I feel like it'd be the most sense to go out in the middle for that game.
All right. I put June 25th, I think. Yeah, June 25th, just because, yeah, I was just basically thinking about the same thing of Batman Arkham Knight when that game came out, which was also in June, like 6 years Yeah, 2015. Holy shit, 6 years. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I just think like once again, seems like a summer type of title. They already have, or like we think that they already have like Hogwarts coming out at the end of the year. So I think like, I think that game should come out sometime in the summer. And yeah, as you said, like there's not too many games that come out during the summer around that period, like late June, early July. So I feel like that would be a good time to release it.
So I ended up going with the 27th of August, so a little bit later, but still kind of that summer period right at the end. I did originally have written down, like, and I think I wrote the 27th of October, and then I had Hogwarts, like, the 22nd, and I was like, they can't release right next to each other, especially when they're the same publisher, like, that's way too close.
Yeah.
Originally, I had October purely because Arkham Knight was originally meant to come out in October, although that was also set during Halloween, so I guess that's why it was. I just feel like it's
2014.
2014. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was meant to come out 2014. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Wow. So it got delayed like almost a whole year.
Yeah. And then also like Batman is just kind of synonymous with Halloween time, so I was like, it would make sense. But then I thought, yeah, I don't think it's gonna come out as late as that. Although I also wouldn't be surprised if it did. So I was like, I want to go for summer, but I also don't feel it's super early on. Just because I feel like we would have gotten a date if it was when it was announced. But yeah.
Yeah. Our last game here is Ghostwire Tokyo from Bethesda. So I think they have 2 games coming out this year that are at least announced that are, big. Both, I think, with PlayStation. Deathloop, which we already know is coming out May 21st, and now Ghostwire
maybe.
Tokyo. So yeah, Ghostwire Tokyo, I put October 22nd. My thought process behind this is just, these are the same studio that make Evil Within, right? So far what we've seen does have kind of like a spooky kind of vibe to it. Bethesda games generally do come out in the fall. I don't think generally they ever come out really with games coming out in the summertime. I was trying to think of like Wolfenstein as well. That's definitely always like a fall release. So I put October 22nd just because that seemed right to me, like a week before Halloween.
Justin?
Charlie, you can go first.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So I went with the 23rd of November, so right at the very end of the year. My main reasoning being is that I don't think Bethesda are going to be crazy confident in it to chuck it right in the middle of all the massive releases at the end of the year. Because, like, from what I can remember, Evil Within is popular, but, like, they don't sell crazy well. And I don't see Ghostwire being, like, this amazing game or anything. So I feel like it'll probably release kind of towards the end of November when there's a lot less releases. There's obviously still stuff coming out, but it's getting past that kind of Christmas rush where it can just kind of drop out and probably get a decent amount of sales. So that's why I went with that one.
Kind of like what Immortals did, I guess.
Yeah,
around
yeah,
that
for
period.
sure.
Cool. I guess we also, I was trying to think, I think we forgot Far Cry 5 or
Far Cry
6. Were they
6.
on 6? They're on Far Cry 6. They're all the same to me. I think that was originally coming out in February, right? And that got delayed.
Yeah, and then it got delayed definitely, right?
I think this one might be a fall release, to be honest. I don't know if it'd be that far away, but we haven't even seen gameplay.
Yeah, I want to
So
say that's an
part of me wants
October
to say
game.
fall. Yeah, I almost want to say they're just going to delay it all the way to October.
I mean, to be fair, I feel like Ubisoft don't really know what they're doing with release dates anymore. I feel like when
It doesn't seem like they have anyone that's in charge of that.
I don't think a single game they have announced a date for in the past 2 years has come out on that date. Like, they've delayed literally every game. Obviously, Prince of Persia got delayed by a month. Rainbow Six Quarantine is just in the void.
With that name, definitely.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't see that coming out anytime soon, but purely because it wasn't given another date. It's the same thing that happened to Watch Dogs, which was originally March last year and then was, October? So, yeah, I feel like it's going to be around that October time. I don't know a date, but...
I just hope the game's good, to be honest. Like, Far Cry, I love Far Cry 3, right? And Far Cry 6 is definitely giving me those similar vibes with like a really cool, antagonist. It's also like really funny that they had Nacho from Nacho from Breaking Bad, the same actor play Voss from in Far Cry 3, and now in Far Cry 6 we're getting the actor that played Gus in Breaking Bad. So it's really cool. Yeah, I hope that game's good just because as I said, I loved Far Cry 3. I have a feeling it's just going to be traditional, open world galore where they focus on towers, they focus on side quests, and yeah, just a shame if it's going to be like that. What about you, Justin? What do you think?
For Far Cry?
For Far Cry 6. Yeah, just off the top of your head.
I don't know. Yeah, that game's probably, I don't know. I feel like that game's probably not going to come up for a while, so I feel like the name, it's big enough that they can release it in that holiday area with everything else. So I guess I'll go with something like you guys that said, like, I don't know, October, November.
They kind of need to announce more games too. Like they've released so many games in the last month or so, and they don't really have anything past Far Cry 6, really, right? Like they have Rainbow Six Quarantine, sure, but like besides that, they haven't really. They have Skull and Bones as well, I guess, but that's still
Beyond
kind of
Good and Evil
backwards,
2,
really.
if that ever releases.
Yeah, but that's like, wasn't that like a Kickstarter project almost from last time we saw it? It was crazy. Yeah, I don't know. Ubisoft's in an interesting place ever since what was it? Breakpoint, Tom Clancy's Breakpoint.
Yeah.
Ghost Recon Breakpoint. Like they delayed everything because that game was such a flop. That kind of screwed them up for a bit of time. So hopefully Far Cry 6 can also be a good release. I think, they had some generally decent, buzz with their releases this year. I think they definitely screwed up with Immortals and Watch Dogs just because they're so close to Assassin's Creed Valhalla. I've seen everyone talk about Valhalla, but I've seen hardly anyone really talk about Watch Dogs, and even more so about Mortals. So just kind of a shame that they dropped 3 big open world games back to back to back. So yeah, just whatever they do, pick a smarter date
I feel like
next
some
time.
people are talking about Immortals. I haven't heard anybody talking about Watch Dogs. I mean, that game is like not great to begin with, but
Yeah, I mean, it also doesn't help that it's like the only game that's 30 FPS I'm playing right now compared to like everything else at 60. So
it also had a ton of its
couldn't-
content delayed, which I don't think is great. Like I was really looking forward to the online multiplayer. 'Cause
same.
That was meant to come out in December, and me and a couple mates were really looking forward to playing that together, and then it got delayed to just early this year. So who knows when that's coming out. But I'm really interested in the expansion for that because they've got Aiden Pierce coming back. So
Yeah, because they have Aiden and then they have the online. The online's going to be a free update that's separate, right? But it's also going to come out, I think, around that same time, right? They just said spring.
Yeah, I would imagine they're out a similar kind of time.
It's a shame because originally it was supposed to come out the same day as Immortals, which once again, very stupid idea, Ubisoft. But yeah, this turned into a Ubisoft, what are you doing segment? But yeah, whatever they do, Far Cry 6, I hope it's a good game, and I hope it comes out at a time that makes sense. So I guess I'll leave it at that. Anyways, I guess that has been the podcast for this week. I once again want to remind you, any questions that you have or any topic ideas, make sure to let us know in the comment section down below. And yeah, once again, we'll see you next week on the 9th episode of Critically Incorrect. Take care.
See you later.
Yep.